Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for coming to the annual general meeting of the Capital Region Service Commission for 2024. The reason that I'm in the chair this evening is because just in short order, we'll have an election for chair and vice chair for the commission this evening. I'd like to begin with a land acknowledgement that in recognizing that we begin today by acknowledging that the land in which we are gathered is the traditional territory of the Wolastoqey. These territories are covered by the treaties of peace and friendship of the Wolastoqey people, first signed with the British Crown in 1725. I'd like to know if we have attendance. Okay, thank you, Wendy. So at this point, we would go into our election of chair and vice chair. If we have any nominations, if you could please state who you nominate, and you may self-nominate as well. So we can go and we'll start right out of the gate. Director Morrison.
I'll nominate Judy for the chair.
Okay, nomination of Judy Wilson-Shee. Do we need a seconder on that then?
I'll second.
Do we have a seconder? Seconder is, I think, Len Faulkner or Director Len Faulkner. Are there any other nominees for the position of chair? Going for the second time, any other nominees? Position of chair? And the other third and final, any nominees for the position of chair? Yeah, I guess we declare it passed. So, Madam Chair, if you'd like to come down and take your position here, we'll swap seats. Okay, that's all right, thank you. Congratulations to you, Madam Chair, for your re-election.
Hear that, Judy?
Reasonable back
Yes. Okay, now we'll take nominations for vice chair. Derek, please, is Derek, are you with us? No, don't they have to?
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes.
So through you, Madam Chair, to the board members, Director Pleadwell did say that he would accept a nomination if he were so nominated. He unfortunately he was unable to be with us this evening. He was going to try to connect from where he is on the planet, but unfortunately he may be having some difficulty. So we'll just say that. So
Okay,
anyway.
thank you. Do we have any other further nominations for election of vice chair? Second time, the third time.
We need a second.
Oh, right, yes,
I'll second. Right, question.
right,
So
thank you. Okay, do we have any further nominations for election of vice chair? Second time. Third time. Election of vice chair. No, so we will go with Derek Pleadwell. Congratulations, Derek, and we'll let him know when he gets back. Approval of the agenda. Anybody can, okay, do you want to say your name out so that we get it for the record? Second by, any discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Are there any conflict of interest for disclosure this evening? No? Approve of the minutes, March the 5th, 2024.
Paolo Amato.
Second by,
Second, Dave Morrison, and
any discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Now we're going on to the presentations, and the first is Ignite Regional Strategy, and I believe Sarah Corey Callahan is with us. And I'm sure you've been told, and I'm going to stress it again, we have allowed you 15 minutes for the presentation and 5 minutes for question and answer. So I will certainly be putting my hand up or letting you know when you're close to the question and answers, okay?
Sounds good.
And would you like to introduce the members of your team, please?
Absolutely. So thank you, Chair and Your Worship. I have team members here with me tonight to help answer any Q&A When we get to that portion, we have two directors here that should be familiar faces, Noshina Lee and Andrew Lockhart. They are key members of the Capital Region team. So I'm going to just go ahead and jump right into the presentation. And I think I've done that properly. If I could get a thumbs up from those in the room that you can see, perfect. Okay, so thank you for inviting us back to the commission to give you an update on what we've achieved in 2023 and what we have looking ahead for 2024. Obviously, you know who you are, but just to give you an idea, it's always very humbling to understand that the geographic location that we're looking after and the uniqueness behind that. We're going to get right to it. We know that you have a big night ahead, and we all know that you're really looking at what the impact and the KPIs are. So what you'll see on this graph, and I would say there's a lot of information that we may be talking about or acronyms. As always, please feel free to reach out if we run out of time at Q&A. But these are the regional key performance indicators that we've set out to achieve on your behalf during the 2023 year. So you'll see some really high impact, and we have broken this out on a quarterly basis for us because that's how we internally monitor these items. Everything around how many new businesses did we help start up, how many coaching and consultation hours, because we know that there's small steps before there's big leaps in entrepreneurship, and that's okay, but that's what we're here for. We do track job creation support, so those companies that we're working with on getting them skilled up and enabled and helping them attract individuals to their companies to enable them to maybe start a new line of business or export a new product. We track all of that stuff. Again, this is a very small snapshot of many of the things that we track. So I know there's a lot of curiosity in the room of kind of how do we get to here? We call these big rocks. Let's have a conversation on perhaps what we could be tracking and what we should be tracking. So we're always open for improvement. And I'll kind of lean into that at the end of the presentation on a couple of the upcoming events that really have an area for open dialogue. But really what's important to us at Ignite and what's really important to us at the senior leadership team is the impact that we're making. And that's based on the client. That's not based from what are the things in the box and the ticks that Ignite is doing. It's really what is the impact that we are helping foster, whether it's with a business owner, as this slide is showcasing some high-level testimonials, or in the next one with Nosheen side on workforce attraction and development. So we know that every time we get an opportunity to help an entrepreneur upskill, enhance their existing skill sets so they can better manage their teams, we know that we're having the impact, but these quotations that we gather on a regular basis are really a good testament on how far we've come and how far we've come in helping the entrepreneur. We also use it as a really good way as a 360 feedback tool to then adjust next year. So if there's similar themes being brought up or bubbling up to the surface, then we tweak and modify different programs, whether it's grow your business, digital footprint, business basics, etc. Here's a couple more impact statements from the workforce development team. And I think really what you'll see around this pillar, and especially on the next slide, is those activities that are really working towards retention. We know retention is such a key component to any type of attraction, whether you're talking newcomer or just skills development, whatever that may be. So you can see here at the bottom, one of the main quotes is from the ISP program, which is an acronym for the International Student Program. We really rallied and put some focus around programming to this group of students that have already chosen the Capital Region as their place. And we're really looking at broadening their network and getting them connected to each one of your communities to make sure that they stay. We know that they already like it here. They chose us from the beginning, so it's our job to try and keep them here. So that's a really good feel-good story that you can hear from a lot of the different programs that we have. Overall, a few of the key milestones that they might seem like regular business to everybody, but some of them are firsts for us as well. So we held our first ever newcomer summit this summer. It's been something that we've always wanted to do, but I think really now with this new mandate and the new territories and the new capabilities that our staff have been able to tap into, we were able to hold this newcomer summit in June or July. Nosheen's I'm gonna get in trouble for that one for not knowing the date. But it was hugely successful, and it really created the awareness around how welcoming this region is. If we stick to the workforce retention side, you'll see one of our key programs, the Women's Economic Empowerment Program. We were recognized on an international scale amongst economic developers this year for the success in this program. We've had numerous job fairs. We've had the feedback that we've gained from each one of the business forums that we've had of your region has dictated what the programming is in 2024, and I'll get to that in a second. But I really want to highlight the three main things in the center. The welcome guide is on the website, so that's for anyone that you can direct to the website. All the content on how to get settled in your region, all the quick answers that you need to know, we have that compiled into one guide. We've also created an economic dashboard for the capital region. On top of the economic dashboard that gives you a snapshot of everything that you need to know if you're going to land or attract businesses here, is that we have each one of your entities a unique entity profile. So that again is another tool that we're using to attract folks and businesses to the region. So that's great. So we had a really successful year. We've had a lot of communication back and forth. I know I always kind of chuckle every once in a while because I know that we over communicate. But we're really excited about the things that we're doing because we're hearing all of those impact stories. So while we've shared with our annual plan of our business plan for 2024, probably back in January with your group, with the stakeholders, is that I want to just kind of refresh and highlight a few key areas that we're working towards and a few key events. So the biggest thing is we are strategy focused for this year. We've got 5 key growth strategies that we are moving along with. And these are really going to be the glue that makes Vision 2030 a success. So we've got a business retention and expansion strategy, investment attraction, workforce development, the AIR strategy, which is the newcomer attraction and retention, and then of course a comm strategy that really bundles it all up so it's cohesive and it makes sense on both sides, whether you're a stakeholder or a client. So you can see yourself in your journey on where you fit into the Ignite program, or perhaps where Ignite fits into their journey of their growth, whether it's job seeking or growing their business. We're already very much underway. We have a good group of keeners on our team, so you can be rest assured that there is no dust on them whatsoever. And we are full steam ahead on all 5 strategies. And we kind of said, I was updating this and I was like, oh, in action. I was like, this slide almost makes it obsolete at this point to have it in here, but it's all good news. So we're out there in your communities. We're really active. I know sometimes you hear about it last minute, and we will get better at that. That is something that we will work on. But just know good intentions by all. So secret sauce. This is what we've got teed up for 2024. You'll see the same similar type of KPIs are listed here. The metrics have gone up. We have a larger scope, but do know that the region that is serving the capital region is dedicated to the capital region. I know you see Western Valley in here, and I know that is a bad word, but know that there's a completely separate team looking after that, and that does not take any type of impact or influence from this team that you have here for the capital region. So know that these are some cornerstones, and we have had some other conversations on other things that we should look at lifting. We're absolutely open to all those conversations, so let's have them. And let's see how we can get to and achieve these things together. So there's 3 main activities that I really want to bring to your attention, and because we over communicate, I want to bring them to the top of your mind matter or inbox. Next week is Vision 2030. April 11th from 9 until 2 p.m. Many of you have already registered. Thank you for that. If you haven't, please register. And if you don't have the time to commit the full day, I absolutely understand that. But please stop in and see what's going on in the room. And there'll be a different way for you to contribute to much of that exercise, as well as David will be coming in to have a presentation with you in May to give you the preliminary findings of that recap. So it's shaping up to be an awesome day. So far we have 88 people registered, private invitation only. So it's going to be a fantastic day. I'm really kind of quite excited to see what is going to come out of this day. The next date, of course, is the Ignite AGM, April 24th. That is a virtual meeting. It's during at the lunch hour, so hopefully you are all able to make it. And again, we'll get into some more golden nuggets of the takeaways of 2023. And again, I'll share with you what that AGM booklet looks like. It just hasn't gone to the board for approval yet. Quite honestly, it's at translation. And when we be moving forward with that. So there'll be a whole suite of documents that we'll be sharing back to you and your teams on our AGM, but please attend if you can. We'd love to have you there. And last but not least, and most certainly these aren't the only 3 activities that I expect you all to be at, so just that's a caveat and it's recorded so you all know, is the Workforce and Newcomer Summit. So this will be the 2nd year in a row that we'll have a Newcomer Summit. We're adding a workforce component to it. So really adding some conference sessions, breakout sessions, some plenaries, panel discussions on, you know, how do we engage the workforce? What can we do better? How do we hire more? How do we keep them longer? How do we incentivize it? What are some best practices that some industry leaders are doing? Let's share. So you'll really see that. And then the cake topper to the whole thing is that we're going to be having a gala event that evening, celebrating diversity within the region. So that's going to be really awesome. Nosheen is actually hiding some details from me, so I don't know all of it because she does want to make it a surprise. So we're really looking forward to that, and that is in August. So I know summer schedules, but get that in there now, please. And I believe that takes us to one of the ends. I know many of you already follow us, but I would be doing our Director of Communications disservice if I didn't remind everybody again. We have many social channels to connect on, but most importantly, if we're not connected to you, let us know so we can like and share and follow and reshare and invite people to your events. So while we are always asking you to do the same for us, we want to reciprocate. So please let us know where we can do better on this side. And that's it. So hopefully, Mayor Wilson Shea, I've lost sight of you, but hopefully I'm under your time limit here. And we've got some time for some questions.
Yes, we'll open up for questions and we'll just go around the board table. We'll start with you, Dr.
I've seen this presentation several times, now, through, the other one, so I don't really have many questions for you.
Okay, thank you.
I have no questions.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd be happy to ask a quick question. Sarah, thank you very much for your presentation. I'm Greg Erickson, representing the city of Fredericton. I guess I'm a director, the deputy mayor of the city of Fredericton. I took the liberty of reviewing the regulations in the act prior to, because these are very important moments at our AGM, and I'm very happy to see all the kind of KPIs and the reporting and accountability framework that we need to see. One of the things that I was surprised to see in the regulations is that, and I think this is more for us as directors, and I'd be happy to have CEO Smith comment on this. The required new mandate areas, we're supposed to take some time and consider how they interrelate to each other as part of our regional strategy submission to the minister and so on and so forth. Maybe we can add that to the list of pending conversations we have with your group. And I know, tourism and economic development and a lot of these other things are notionally attached, but I think we're being prompted by the legislation to find out ways where we can actually have those things cooperate and kill 2 birds with 1 stone, so to speak. So I guess not so much of a question as a comment, but I'd be happy to see that on an agenda when we next meet with your group.
Yep, I absolutely agree. There's a lot of synergies. There's a lot of barriers and opportunities for growth within economic development now that aren't in traditional economic development terms. So please pull us into those conversations, because even if it's something that we can't tactile solve right away, it's great to be in the room so we know how to navigate those conversations moving forward when the conversation starts and not playing catch up. So absolutely, please include us.
Thank you. And John Smith, you had to make a comment.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and through you to the directors. Just want to say, Director Erickson, that we do have regular communication with Ignite. We're in constant communication with Ignite and the team, Andrew and Nosheen as well. There's a good level. We also, to our colleagues that are here that are up next for their presentation with David Seabrook and Stacy Russell from the City of Fredericton with Capital Region Tourism. We do have regular meetings. We have, usually I think we're about quarterly now in terms of that, but we do have conversations offline. And we also have our economic coordinator working on such matters as well, and finding out how we can integrate some of the things that tourism is doing, as well as what Ignite is doing on things such as around physician recruitment. So there's synergies being found right across the board of all the mandated services, and we're working on that now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Rick?
Good.
I was just wondering if we could get a breakdown of where the 40 or 50 new startups, what communities they're starting up in.
Yeah, I don't have that with me today, but that can be a follow-up for sure, not a problem. We do have them represented in zones based on how we've kind of set up the business development officers to serve the region. So we absolutely have a lot of those numbers already calculated, so we can give you the big buckets for sure.
Perfect, thank you.
And we don't have anybody at Public, right?
No,
Because Derek's not there, right?
no, we don't have much.
So now I would ask the director, put the motion on the floor to receive the strategy.
Sure.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Was, Director Powell Brothers.
I'll start with you next time. I apologize. Okay, so now we do need a motion to receive the strategy.
So move, Marty Forsyth.
Second by,
No.
any discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Sarah and your team. Thank you for the presentation. We will get a copy of that, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Madam Chair, they're invited to stay if they'd like to continue viewing, or they can exit from screen. It's completely their choice.
You're most welcome to stay, or you can exit. The choice is up to you people. Okay, so we are gonna move on, and thank you very much. The Fredericton Tourism Regional Strategy, we have Stacy Russell and David Seabrook, and again, you got 15 minutes to present, 5 minutes for questions, and
get their extra.
we'll cut you off. It doesn't work that way.
I'll try to block her view when you can, or the clock there, Stacy, that's all.
Oh, all right.
You're good to go.
Thank you very much. I wasn't completely sure how I was going to start this, because this is our first time presenting since we obviously had a very tough go the last month. Deputy Mayor Erickson was actually with us in the street as we watched our office burn. So we have the loss of our operations building, which housed half of our team in it, of my heart still beating fast, our operations as well as our marketing. So it has been a bit of a challenging last few weeks. So with that, I do want to, we're standing here today, I want to reassure you all that we are still working very hard to be able to promote this region. We're here today to present you with some great results, and to give you some updates on what we've been up to in 2023. So with that, Kelly, if you could, the next slide. So first off, who we are. So I've met most of you in the room. My name is Stacy Russell. I'm with Fredericton Capital Region Tourism. We are it's generally recognized as a destination marketing organization. We are now an RDMO, a regional destination marketing organization. We're a team of 11 full-time staff, and we're focused around marketing and sales, product development, programming, industry consultations. So that's working with different operators, festivals, et cetera, and economic impact reporting. So we'll go to the next slide. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to review some of the key items that we discussed that we would accomplish in our 5-year strategic plan of year 1. So we'll get right to it of what we said we'd do and what we've done. So this past year has been a transition, and it focused around transition and integration. So obviously, number 1, we hit the ground running. We changed our name from Fredericton Tourism. We are now Fredericton Capital Region Tourism. We've hired a regional tourism coordinator. I know you all looked and thought that she was gonna walk in the room today. She's not here. She's on a sunny beach having a great vacation, but she is very regretful that she was missing out. So Rose said hi at that time. As you can see from the photos, Rose has literally hit the ground running. She has met with over 300 different operators around your community. So it's been an amazing opportunity for her to be able to meet, get on the ground, experience it firsthand. But in addition to that, she's also bringing in some circumstances, our travel media coordinator, as well as our sport tourism coordinator. So an example of that is the ice fishing in Grand Lake. So by that, as that example of the Grand Lake, it's to be able to look at what are opportunities for some sport tourism, as possible tournament or something that could be held there in the future. From the travel media perspective, it's how to be able to write stories, which you're gonna see some results on that in future slides. So we'll go to the next slide. So first off, our visitor guide. I can tell you our 2024 guide went to print today. So we are in the thick of things here for our office. So 65,000 copies of the guide were printed last year. We'll be doing the same thing for this year. The big item is I'm holding the 2023 guide. I'm not that special. I don't get a copy before it goes. So there's some pictures there that you have, but the big item is the new addition to this guide is that each community is profiled, and Rose works directly with each of you to be able to determine what is profiled within that guide. We've made some changes from 2023 to 2024 with some different improvements, but we're very excited to be able to see this guide. In addition, we've added in 2023 hundreds of new operators into the guide. A lot of work goes into this printed publication that, to be perfectly frank, New Brunswick Tourism has left. Moncton does not create, St. John does not create. So 65,000 copies over 120 pages, and we see visitors always walking around and using it. It's very important for our industry. So next slide. New website. So our new website launched in April of last year. In addition with that website, each community has a landing page. So that page has an explanation and a description of your community, as well as top attractions, places to visit, restaurants, etc. So the information is all there. Rose would have sent this out almost a year ago when it launched, but at the same time, if there are any questions or you'd like links, please let us know. Website views will give you a little bit more data in upcoming slides, but are up 48% over 2022. So it's a great site. But we're not done. So in terms of additional items that we're doing, this is when my eyesight's gonna start getting tested. So ensuring that properties across, I can't turn my back to you. Properties across the region are all represented in everything that we're doing. Some examples of that would be dine around. So we had Crab Mountain Inn was one of the restaurants in, as well as King's Landing, for example. Frostival, we had over 50 different operators from around the region that took part in Frostival this year. Chaparral Trail, the Eclipse on Monday, so there's almost 30 events. Many of them are taking place around the region, including Arcadia. So that's just one of those examples. So investigating and supporting opportunities for festival growth. We work with a lot of the major festivals around the region to be able to help them access funds. So a prime example of that is Nashwauk Music Festival and working with them with the province, but also as well Big Axe Beer Festival, how to expand that festival so that they can access different funds. We're also working with a number of other events throughout the communities. Identifying new potential for product clusters. We'll get into that in a later slide, but paddling, snowmobiling, and ATVing, these are all very important products that really do link your communities together. Launch of educational programs. So we created a digital market readiness program. That's over 50 people in the room last spring. We followed that up with 4 Google Business training for beginners. All 4 of them sold out, with close to 35 in the room for that. And we're now getting requests for intermediate and expert levels. So some great opportunities to be able to help train our tourism industry. Visitor Information Center, so we've expanded that, and our team has been going around the region to be able to learn more about different properties and how to be able to promote that for visitors coming in. And then, of course, digital asset collection, so photos, videos, We did extensive shoots last summer. We have provided all of that through to our operators. So they've received and they now are integrating it within their own marketing and promotions, those videos and photography. And we've developed 5 new videos. So the next slide is, we're going to show you one of those videos now. And Kelly, if you click on the summer 2024, you should be able to see, this is our 1-minute video. And you were the first to see it, I should mention. This has not gone public yet. So that was Fredericton Band, the Hypochondriacs, who we've that are doing the music. So we have a local piece to that as well. And we have 4 additional videos that will launch as well. And those will all be part of our spring and then summer campaigns promoting the Fredericton Capital Region. So we're very excited about this. Next slide, 2023 results. So what I do want to start with on this is this has been challenging in terms of results. So we, as Fredericton Capital Region, we've been working with New Brunswick Tourism as well as the other RSCs around the province. So in being able to create a dashboard that will provide further information, that's something that we're hoping that we're going to get within the upcoming month. So what we've done for today's session is to be able to provide you with some of the high bullets in terms of what we've been doing, how things have been going. So in terms of website traffic, we're at nearly 600,000 users. The big item to this is over 1 million page views. Now I won't lie, I was blown away by this myself, and it shows the marketing muscle that is going. So we have our, obviously, in terms of our regional budget, but that, in addition to that, are the other, in terms of our accommodation levy and city budget. So you're seeing muscle of a budget of over $3 million going into play on this. I had to look at this multiple times where site visits start in Fredericton. I would usually see Moncton or Halifax. It's Montreal now. So in a situation where Montreal accounts for half of the Fredericton site visits. So our marketing that we're doing into Quebec and Ontario is driving an awful lot of visits through to our website and for them to start planning their vacations. So that is that marketing muscle well at work. The group tours, that's our motor coach. Those are the buses that you would be seeing that would be coming through the region. That is one of the slowest ones to be able to return from COVID. But Fredericton is seeing great returns on it. We're still not at our highest levels, but we're seeing increases over 2022. And then lastly, travel media. 26 press tours might not sound like a lot, but I can tell you it is. It's almost too much. We regularly have media in this city and in the region, over 75 media stories and references. So totaling worth over $2 million, but the big item is 89 million impressions. So every time we have a writer that covers something about the Fredericton Capital Region, our office then sends it through to your community and to the operator so that they're aware, to be able to connect the dots of how this is all working. So we'll go to the next slide. So in terms of the marketing results, I touched on that earlier in terms of that muscle. So we are promoting in the Maritimes, Ontario, Quebec, and New England. The spring campaign will be starting this week, and that will go straight through. In terms of some of those numbers, over 69 million impressions we're getting everywhere. So you'll see, and that doesn't include our winter results. There's a lot of marketing muscle that comes through this and something that is greatly leveraged in this partnership of a great opportunity to be able to promote the region. Those are some examples of some of the ads that we've run. We've also seen some fantastic numbers and well above average in terms of our click-through rate. So that's as people are seeing the ads, they're actually clicking on it, they're visiting our website and they're starting to plan, go to looking at your communities, they're thinking about what they want to do. So we'll go to the next slide. So air initiatives, we are also have a fantastic partnership with the Fredericton Airport. As I don't think I need to explain to any of you the importance of air. So we have paid marketing partnerships. We worked very hard with links to be able to land that and promote. It was very unfortunate with the loss of links. But please be rest assured, our office is already working with the airport to be able to try to fill that void of the Calgary market. So those are just some examples of some of the advertising that we run. And we do this also in partnership with New Brunswick Tourism to try to leverage the investment that much more in those markets. So we'll go to the next slide. Social media. There's a lot here. What the biggest item I want to say, because it just blew me away when my staff gave it to me, was the fact of each of your communities has been highlighted at least 27 times on our social media channels. To give you our Facebook page alone is at almost 40,000 followers. And then our Instagram is very large as well. So it's using a lot of that social media muscle to be able to help promote and tell stories about your communities and why they need to come and visit. So we'll go to the next slide. So here are some examples so they're always strong photography. We use a lot of user-generated content and we dialogue with them to be able to make sure, and also working with influencers. We have a lot of influencers who come in and they go out and they experience your communities and then help us spread the word as well. So go to the next slide. Sport tourism. This one's a big one. So there's over 50 annual sporting events throughout the region. Our office works with all of them. Ones that are outside Fredericton that we definitely wanted to make note of were, of course, the Smallmouth in Nakawik. There's a number of them for the Kids Adventure Games in Mactaquac, Cambridge Narrows Triathlon, the list goes on. Lumberjack Championships is at Mactaquac as well. So we are, and plus we have the Cambridge Narrows Triathlon. So our sport tourism coordinator is constantly working with different operators within your community to be able to see those opportunities to grow them. And it's a great revenue driver. So a great economic driver for all the communities. So we'll go to the next slide. So this is the big one. So I actually today received under our meetings and conventions, we're actually bidding for 2029 right now, just to kind of put it in perspective of the work we're doing and what we're selling. So for this, I say celebrate the 2024 wins. Somebody in my office said, hold on a minute, it hasn't happened yet. And I'm like, I am taking this win because what these are all sporting events that we went after and we wanted them in the Fredericton Capital Region and they're coming now. So there's still a lot of work to be able to take place now for us to work to be able to promote the region and leverage these opportunities. But it is an incredible year of some great, strong sporting events for our community. So we'll go to the last slide. So looking ahead to 2024, so as I mentioned, our 2024 visitor guide, that's going to print. We're actually also going to the Saltscapes Travel Show later on this month. Many operators from your communities are joining us. We take over the first two aisles of that show as welcome to the Fredericton Capital Region. So we're excited about that. We have we're excited about an integrated marketing campaign. Once again, we're going hard into those Ontario, Quebec, and New England markets in the region and doing that as well as in partnership with New Brunswick Tourism. We also have more video and photography to shoot. You saw our video, looked fantastic. We also had to work around a lot of rain. So there's still more to shoot and more work that needs to be done there. And then as well, our key product clusters. So we're in the process right now. We've hired a consultant to be able to help us better understand snowmobiling and ATVing within the Fredericton Capital Region. Where do we stand? Do we have a competitive position? Where are the gaps? So this is all information that we're waiting to receive. From there, we continue to work forward. as well, and Dave would have met with many of you in the room. We're working on the paddling network development, so the development plan, that website will come live in 2025. So there's a lot of exciting things that we're working on, and I want to thank you. I hope I'm still within time. I want to thank you for the opportunity to.
Oh, I would have cut you off if you weren't. So, I've got all the questions, and I'm gonna start to my right. Director David? Okay, then we'll go around the table, please.
No, I'm fine. Thank you.
Good, thanks.
Dr. Martin?
Yeah, I do. You mentioned that, it just went in my head, and you said Moncton and St. John don't produce a guide.
Mr. Guy.
What do they do? They mean you don't know.
So.
I had that said to me,
Yeah.
not, a doctor said to me when we recruited, I asked what the coach did, he said, I don't know. They're your competitors, so.
They would produce a much smaller version. So for Moncton, I really don't know. I'd have to find out because it does change each year. So
Okay.
it depends on, for St. John, it's generally a much smaller version. And when I say smaller, I'd probably say no more than 30 pages of a very condensed version. And then that's the challenge is what's in that, what's making me laugh. So,
Okay, I just,
but I can
they're
come
two
back
big
to you with
cities
the
and
answer.
not having a guide if yours is so successful.
It's,
Like Moncton region like us must have a big area.
it does have a big area, but it's determined, it's also, years ago, when we got very big in terms of our website, we really thought that would mean it might be the beginning of the end of the guide.
Okay.
People would go virtually. It actually had the opposite result with more people asking for it. So it's, yeah, so it does
I was
change.
just curious. I was
Yeah,
just,
oh, no,
I was
it's a
just
good, yeah,
curious.
and I apologize that I can't, yeah.
No questions, just thank you. You've had great opportunities have been created in the community as a result of the work of the Fredericton Capital Region Tourism Group, and we're happy with that, so.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. Rose has been out a few times and I know she's enjoyed herself.
I've seen
We
some
have it.
pictures.
Go ahead, her.
No, I just wanted to comment, Recreation Tourism Department are working really well with Rose and yourself and the rest of your committee. And, it's all very positive.
Thank you.
And she's a gem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we'll.
And you are.
Did you have any comments?
We have lots to talk about, but
Yes.
national, but I don't think this is an appropriate place to bring up that
Okay, so
conversation.
that's great.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, too.
Oh. Sir.
Oh, she started there.
I started there this time.
Okay, so.
Yes, I made a mistake once, I don't do it twice.
One mistake is no result. Two mistakes, my fault. It goes by that rule now. Come on, Bob.
But, Madam Chair, through you to the directors, I just wanted to let you know, like, in the level of communication and contact, and just really, expressing the thanks, the relationship that we've built with, Dave and Stacy and Rose and the team. And they're always open for meetings, but when their office, built, and it was your operations and marketing center, I mean, that's very important to what they do. We were on the phone and communicating in less than 24 hours. I don't even know if 20 hours had transpired, and we were talking about continuing on their contingency plan, what they were doing to make sure that the region was served, that nothing would be slowed down. Sure, there might be a day or two lag time or a little bit of a delay, but there was a lot of communication and good communication. And we sent out notices to all of the directors, Stacy and David, and we thank you again for that quick response. And the response always, whenever I call, we're on the phone within hours, and rarely does it happen leave overnight. So I just want to say thank you for that. It's really impressive in terms of that. So.
Thank you. So now I need a motion to receive the strategy.
I'll move the strategy.
So moved.
Okay, second, Greg Erickson, City of Fredericton.
Any discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Stacy, Russell,
you.
and David Seabrooks for your presentation, and the invitation stands. You're welcome to stay or you can step out.
Can't imagine that statement.
Thanks, but no thanks.
So we're gonna move on to the committee reports, Public Safety Committee, Director Morrison.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the Public Safety Committee report, April the 7th, 2024. We met on March the 7th, 2024, in attendance for myself, Carl Bell, Colin Trail, Brent McGregg, John Smith, John Fitzgerald, and Kelly Shaw. The meeting was called to order by the chair at 12 p.m. and began with a discussion on the advisory forum held on March the 6th. Each forum held throughout the year on a particular focus within the realm of public safety. This particular forum was dedicated to the RSC. Members gave a presentation on policing services offered by the force and presented the third quarter report on crime status called within the region, and this report is attached to your package tonight. The forum ended with priorities taking session where community representatives outlined the top 3 priorities for the RSC to focus on for the next fiscal year. The 2024 priorities remain the same as 2023, being number 1, enhanced road safety, 2, community engagement and visibility, 3, strategic crime reduction. For the community engagement piece, the RSC asked RSC staff to find out what events are being held in your communities this year, so every effort is made to within. The board secretary will be reaching out in the near future. The Public Safety Committee then discussed the next advisory forum to be held in May, consisting of a presentation from the Department of Justice Public Safety, and we're asked to reflect on what the focus should be, as that department has a broad mandate. There will be no further business. The meeting was adjourned at 12:16 p.m. And I move that the board receive the report of the Public Safety Committee dated April 2nd, 2024.
Second by,
Randall.
any discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Director Morrison. Community Development Committee, John Fitzgerald, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm reporting tonight on behalf of Robert Simpson, who is the Vice Chair of the Community Development Committee. The committee met on March 19th. All members of the committee were in attendance. The first thing that was discussed was staff report with respect to volunteer drive service. We'll talk about that in a little more detail next after we cover the report meeting. And the second item that was presented was a staff report that I prepared for the committee. And it was setting a course for the next 2 meetings. And we are aware that the strategic plan and implementation guide for community development is largely aspirational, and it's not focused on actual outcomes. And that makes it difficult for staff and the committee to pursue tactics to accomplish outcomes. And it's no fault of the strategic plan. It was put together in a very compressed time frame. And now that we have had presentations from most of the significant actors in this field, it's time for us to sharpen our plan a little bit. And so the committee was of the opinion that we'll devote the next 2 meetings to try to come up with more action-oriented KPIs, and we're looking forward to that challenge. Then we heard a presentation from Suzanne White, who is our SIM coordinator, with respect to the collaboration that's going on around refreshing the Overcoming Poverty Together strategy of the Economic and Social Inclusion Corporation. We have had in our region, we've had 2 of these sessions in Fredericton, one in French and one in English. We've had one in Hanwell, one in Nacowick, Melville, and we have had or will be having in a very short future one in Arcadia. Early results are that the attendees are engaged, that they appreciate the methodology that Suzanne uses in sort of bringing people together and drawing out issues. I can also report that we did receive today an invitation from the Economic and Social Inclusion Corporation with respect to what they're calling sector analysis. So they're going to have a number of other meetings targeted at nonprofits, targeted at volunteers and government sectors, one of which is the local government sector. And they have asked us to share that invitation widely. And so we will be doing that, this week or early next week with all of you, so to unlock the, opportunity to participate directly in the overcoming poverty strategy. One of the reasons it may not be first thing tomorrow is that while they had quoted that there's going to be 30 or 40 of these sessions, and they're encouraging us to register, they didn't share with us the actual schedule. So I would have to track that down before we send it out and share with you folks. And then finally, at that meeting, we had an operational update with respect to ESIC and resiliency. We have facilitated 2 grants from ESIC, and these grants are approved by ESIC, and we're just an enabling body in terms of putting the money out and monitoring the activity, and one from resiliency. The resiliency project was approximately $9,000, and it goes to the Fredericton Junction Head Start group. In terms of the ESIC projects, one was had to do with public art in the streets, which is being done by the Fredericton Arts Alliance. And my apologies, the second one escapes me right now. But there's movement on both of those fronts. So overall, Madam Chair, and I've neglected to mention that the committee also did consider a staff report with respect to the concept of a guaranteed basic income. And so after the board hopefully accepts the committee's report, I'd like to move on in detail with the 2 staff reports. Firstly, around volunteer drive services, and secondly, with respect to guaranteed basic income.
Yes, so we'll do the first motion, then we'll wait to do the second and the third motion after your.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Report. Okay, who would like to do the motion for the report?
So moved, Marty Forsyth.
Okay, would you like to read it out for me, please, Director Marty?
If there is one thing. Not the full report. Want the whole.
No, just the motion.
Oh,
Yeah.
This decision relates to the operation of administration of a common service and requires a majority count of the votes supported. 2 directors, well, I'm reading the yellow thing, don't read that. You told me to read the yellow.
Clarification.
I move that the Board of Capital Region Service Commission received the report of the Community Development Committee stated April 2nd, 2024.
Second by,
Second, full.
any discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor?
I,
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In your package, there's a staff report that was prepared by Brett to the committee with respect to volunteer drive service, which the committee unanimously agreed to forward on to the board for its consideration. And so volunteer drive service is a generic term in our region, urban rural rides. And a number of our communities are offering service through urban rural rides now. And that whole process was facilitated through Greater Fredericton Social Inclusion. As a result of local government reform, the decision was made that by others that all funding for through the Economic and Social Inclusion Corporation would flow through the Regional Service Commission through the 12 Regional Service Commissions. As we approach March 30th, which was the end of the fiscal year for the provincial government, the current funding lapsed. And so if we're to continue this service, subject to ESIC approving their $50,000 general fund, we need to allocate other monies for driver compensation. In 2023, drivers were compensated through a one-time grant that ESIC made available, and that's not available anymore. And the upshoot of the committee's deliberation is that they would like the board to, not only, administer and apply for the $50,000 fund, but also to dedicate $36,000 from its budget for, volunteer driver, reimbursement. And I mentioned that those funds are budgeted, and so it's not an incremental cost. And so, basically, that's the, crux of the matter. And I'd be happy, with the assistance of Brett, to respond to any questions the directors might have with respect to that.
Okay, how about we put the motion on the floor and then we'll go through discussion.
Perfect.
So could I have someone to
I'll
make that
do it.
motion, please?
Marty Forsyth, move that this subject to successful application to ESIC for annual community transportation grants of 50,000. Urban rural rides will be retained to provide a volunteer drive service in the capital region for a maximum rate of 36,000 a year plus tax.
Have a seconder?
Second, David Hayward, see where it says.
Any discussion? Yes,
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a question to staff about, which pieces of this are moving forward and when. I became aware that the Fundy Regional Service Commission, they worked on, as part of their regional, transportation solution, an accessible transportation solution that, could accommodate people with mobility challenges and other mobility, impairments. And then moved on to the rideshare piece. And they did this so that rideshare drivers, in part, wouldn't have to provide any kind of special medical lifting or try to provide services that are left to people with the kind of training required. And so I'm curious why we're moving ahead on the rideshare piece when in the report itself, it says that the drivers are having to do a lot of lifting and a lot of extra service. It kind of makes me in part worried that they're going to overextend themselves and not provide a service that they're trained for. And we don't want anyone doing that who's volunteering out of the kindness of their heart. So I'm hoping to hear when we can see an accessibility transportation regional plan move forward to relieve that burden from the volunteers.
did you want to answer that?
Yes, certainly, Madam Chair. So, through you to, the directors, this is a funding issue. We would have been, from the staff perspective, prepared to address accessibility. We would have been prepared to actually scope out government support for buying accessible vans. However, the board chose during its budget deliberations not to do that.
Marty, did you have a question or comment?
I want to follow up to what he just said. On the question. Have you ever brought a guy that I know that knows how to get most money out of government and everything else when it comes to accessibility in Randy Dickinson? Have you ever brought him forward and say, this is what we want to do? How can we go about it? Where can we find the money? You ever had a discussion with him through the staff?
So, Madam Chair, to the directors, we've not done that yet.
I would suggest he'd be a good, loves talking about that. Trust me.
Yes, he's a guru on it.
He
We'll talk your ear off.
yeah, and he's the reason why John Wood Foundation matches every dollar that's donated to them by 6. So if you give them $30,000, it's like giving them $180,000. So he knows what he's doing that way. So, but that's, I forgot my other question, but when you brought that up, I said, fine then. And the other aspect with that is we've been given these 5 different things to do by the provincial government. Then we should be asking them for more money on this rural urban rides. They must have money in that $1 billion surplus he put away. If that there's some money there, they should be able to try to find for these groups. There, that's my question. Or statement, whatever.
Anyone else around the table? Any questions? Did you want to provide anything further, Don, or?
No, Madam Chair, I've taken note of the administrative note of the comments and appreciate them.
Thank you. Okay, so no further discussion. Ready for the question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. We'll go on now to the third motion, and did you want to say something with that?
Madam Chair, I can give a bit of an introduction. There has been, momentum building around a concept called, guaranteed basic income. Guaranteed basic income, as it's contemplated by, advocates, is, a payment to individuals and families to provide them with a base level of income, so that they can, survive and participate in our economy. In summary, a number of local governments, provincial governments, and advocacy groups have lobbied the federal government, who would be the person to pay, the group to pay this basic income, to develop a scheme or a structure for the guaranteed basic income. It's not all locked down into a specific proposal at this time. So the committee was again unanimously in favor of recommending that the board pass a resolution in favor of the federal government investigating and developing a guaranteed basic income scheme for Canada. So I guess what I would say with regard to that is that there are guaranteed basic income payments already being made. CPP is a form of guaranteed basic income. The old age supplement is a form of guaranteed basic income. And so folks are looking for a less targeted, sort of more universal type of guaranteed basic income. There's a bill in front of the Senate currently. There's one in front of the House of Commons, and the province of PEI has volunteered to be the test bed for developing a guaranteed basic income. And we're all too young here to remember the implementation of Medicare, but that's kind of how it started. One of the Western provinces took on the position of being the living lab for that. So that's a recommendation, Madam Chair. If someone wants to move the motion, we can respond to questions that the directors may or may not have.
Thank you. Who would like to read the motion?
I'll go 3 for 3. That the Capital Region Service Commission supports the concept of basic guaranteed income and direct the chair on behalf of the commission to send a letter to the Prime Minister and the region's MPs calling for the investigation and implementation of a guaranteed basic income and subsidies supporting all individuals and families. I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Just for clarity, this is just petitioning the federal government. This is no request for funding made with community.
No, it is not. It's simply, I'm looking for your capital, but I'm looking for your political capital, not your financial capital.
Any further questions? No further discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Madam Chair.
Thank you, staff members, Dr. Phil, Martin, for putting those things forward for us. Economic Expansion Committee Director, Nicholas, please.
Okay, we called our meeting to order at 4 p.m. Andrew Lockhart, from United, gave a presentation, the one you basically seen tonight. We want to make sure that the key performance indicators were being tracked and how they were tracked. Basically, they showed us the job creation, support, implementation and coaching hours, skills development, capacity building hours, networks and connecting events, and new seed student employment experience development grant. New business startups, investments, attractions, wins, job fairs, micro hiring events, and people reached via attraction events. Ignite is happy to share any other statistics with members and welcomes conversations on goals. So that's all on that one major spreadsheet that they showed. All those information are there for you. Then we asked Director Duplessis and Director Sweeney gave a positive report on activities and functionality of the Ignite and board. It was agreed there is a benefit to the Capital Region Service Commission of having representation on Ignite's board. The CEO reported that the board has approved that at the recommendation of the Economic Expansion Committee, a letter be prepared by CRSC to request greater share of funding from the province in response to the reduced grants provided to the municipalities. Staff reported on the outcomes of both economic expansion surveys that were circulated to the members and strategic priority sessions hosted by Pivot. It was recommended that the informative sessions in each area of interest be set up to provide background and move forward. These presentations can be made prevalent issues such as housing, agricultural industry in the region, and activities of labor market partnership forums, and more. In these really wants to do. There was a discussion around the 2024-2025 work plan that will outline month to month which issues the committee will focus on. Staff will prepare a proposed work plan and bring it to the committee for the next meeting and the discussion. Work plan can include scheduled reviews, scorecards, and progress made. There be no further business, so we were adjourned at 4:50. I move that the Capital Region Service Commission receive the report from the Economic Expansion Committee dated April 2nd of 2024.
Second by, any discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Director Smithson. Regional Infrastructure Committee. And, actually, it's supposed to be Director Pleadwell. So we'll do the vice chair.
Yes.
Yes. David Pussy, please.
The Regional Infrastructure Committee report April 2nd, 2024. The Regional Infrastructure Committee met on March 26th, 2024. Present at the March 26th meeting was David Pleadwell, Mary Forsyth, Ed Elzamer, Jeff Trail, David Duplessis, Kate Rogers, John Smith, John Jackson, Grant Sinclair, and Don Fitzgerald. The meeting was called to order at 12 p.m. Jihad of Jimtech prepared a presentation with information and options for discussion on key questions surrounding the Regional Aquatic Center. The focus of the presentation was to promote conversation on whether the asset would be designated as regional or sub-regional. The provincial criteria by which an asset is designated as regional or sub-regional is summarized. Some factors included in this set of criteria are ease of access, uniqueness, scale of activities, variety of recreational activities, and the impact of the infrastructure on the region. The importance and relevance of the governance of the asset was also mentioned. Ease of access and accessibility in general were discussed as important factors in determining both regional designation and governance. The uniqueness of the RSC and location of other pools within Oromocto and surrounding St. John, the region were discussed, and the effect of these factors on costs and usage. There was consensus that the RSC will be unique and in the region based on the province's definition. There was consensus that the asset was regional based on the criteria set out by the province, but that there is a heavy dependency on the designation of the cost sharing model decided upon. The committee will meet again to discuss cost sharing on March 27, 2024. Timelines were discussed and the importance of presenting all the details to the board along with the recommendation and enable them to make a timely decision. The meeting adjourned at 1:30 p.m. That was day one. Day two, the Regional Infrastructure Committee met again on March 27, 2024. Present were, Jihad, Jeff Trail, David Duplessis, Kate Rogers, John Smith, John Jackson, Grant Sinclair, and Don Fitzgerald. The meeting was called to order at 12 p.m. The chair gave an overview of the topics covered in the March 26 meeting and identified the subject of discussion for the meeting. The goal of the meeting was to agree on a cost sharing model that the committee can bring to the Capital Regional Service Commission board. Jihad of Jimtech shared the current proposed cost sharing model of the Regional Aquatic Center. This model offers discounts, travel, which is time and distance, and light facilities. The goal was to make a cost sharing model that is fair and more appropriate for the region than the default provincial model. There was discussion around whether the model selected today will be a standard model to be used going forward in cost sharing of all regional assets, or if it is going to be specific to this one project. There was consensus that the formula should be consistent, but the factors may be variable depending on the project. There was consensus that the model should include a discount for time and distance from the asset, with the host community absorbing the costs associated with these discounts. The rationalization of the host community picking up discounts is due to advantages such as economic spin-offs and higher community usage of being the host. There was discussion on whether to include a discount for like facilities in other communities. If so, what is the factor of this discount? And whether this discount should also be absorbed by the host community. It was agreed that the current factor being used in the model as a like factor number is not agreeable. Jahad mentioned that the discounts and details used surrounding the host community absorbing discounts came from the recommendations of workshops and surveys. The committee agreed progress has been made, but will meet again to come to a decision and intends to present the information and options to the board in the month of April via a special meeting. Staff was directed to prepare 4 options to bring back to the committee. The meeting adjourned at 1:47 p.m. I move that the Capital Region Service Commission receive the report of the Regional Infrastructure Committee dated April 2nd, 2024.
Second by, any discussion? Yes,
So, this information on the cost sharing, that will be sent out in front of a meeting and that you'll have a chance to discuss it with our councils and whatnot. And, that's the first, I would assume, I guess I'm not, that's more of a statement, isn't it? But the big question I would have is that when they made the determination, how did they determine the difference between a museum or another function that every other community doesn't necessarily have versus this being a community pool for all different regions and whatnot? And from my standpoint, our community is really struggling with it as we have areas that are the same distance between my area and Fredericton as Fredericton to St. John. And if there's a pool in St. John, why didn't they just stick with that pool? It's the same distance for it. So anyway, just curious of you.
I'll let our CEO answer that.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and through you to Director Nickman and to the members. So if I get it right, Director Nickman, you're looking at the criteria that the province used in looking at this. And as Director DePlessis said, there was, there's criteria such as, ease of access, usage, the accessibility, that type of thing. So what they were doing was looking at what is that generic model that would look like for really any regional asset that you were looking to construct. So looking at at a pool or a proposed regional aquatic center, looking at that emanated out of, studies that were done in the region and what the needs were and what could best benefit the region. This particular model, in terms of what it offers, if you're looking at just replacing the Sir Max Aiken pool at UNB, this surpasses that. It has, it has 3 different tanks in it. There's a 10 by 25 meter competitive tank. There's a 20 by 25 leisure pool that's L-shaped with 3 warm-up lanes for significant multifaceted things happening at any one given time. And then there's a smaller relaxation or therapy pool that can be used for aquatic therapy for those with disabilities and injuries to rehabilitate. So when you look at the criteria of what the province had given us in terms of the guidelines to develop, and they're the same right across the province, doesn't matter if you're northeast, west, or south, you know what I mean, that type of thing. You have the same guidelines and the same criteria by which to assess your particular development. And that's when we have to do that. And the other part to that is we have to report back to the minister by June 30th of each year, talking about how we are moving forward. The committee chose to focus on new development and new development only. And when it was discussed in a broader fashion, the representatives of the city of Fredericton indicated that they weren't looking at the playhouse to be included in this factor. There was other reasoning behind that. We'll get to that when we come to the board with the package, but that it really that this was this was the asset that we were focusing on.
Can we get a copy of that needs analysis that said that we need this pool?
That was the feasibility study done, I believe, in 2020.
Madam Chair, we do have a feasibility study. We're happy to share it with the directors. It's a big document. We'll make note to tomorrow morning, share the link with you. It addresses the need for a pool. It addresses the 50-meter versus 25-meter question. It's a robust analysis.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any further questions or comments? Ready for the question? All those in favor? Any opposed? All in favor? Yes, yes. Does anybody oppose? No, motion carried. Thank you, Director Fitzy. Governance Committee, Director Sweeney, and you will have 3 motions on the floor, please.
The Governance Committee met on March 4th, 2024. All of the directors were in attendance. The meeting was called to order by the chair at 1:58 p.m. As you are aware, the committee is tasked with an annual review of the commission's bylaws and to recommend to the board at its annual general meeting such changes as necessary. The committee has already reported on meetings of November 6th and February 8th, dealing with the review of the procedural bylaw and the PRAC bylaw. On March 4th, Director Morrison brought forward a suggestion for the committee to review section 3.0 pertaining to the committees in the procedural bylaw. It was felt that a 1-year term for committee appointees was too brief given the program work and expanded mandates. After discussion, the committees gave unanimous support and directed staff to add the change to the table and suggested amendments and incorporate the change into the draft procedural bylaw P10 attached. There being no further business, the meeting was adjourned at 2:09. So the first motion is I move that the board receive the report of the governance committee dated April 2nd of 2024.
Second it, Powell.
Any discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Your next motion, please.
I move that the board of the Capital Region Service Commission adopt the procedural bylaw P10 and that the procedural bylaw P9 dated April 4, 2023 be replaced or repealed, sorry.
David Duplessis, second.
Second, any discussion? No discussion. Ready for the question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Your last motion, please.
I move that the board of the Capital Region Service Commission adopt the Planning Review and Adjustment Committee's bylaws, PRAC 7, and that the PRAC 6, dated February 1st, 2022, be repealed.
Second by, any discussion? And I think with this one, am I correct in saying that Franklin or Laughlin, New Maryland, we don't vote because we don't get that service? So, any further discussion on that? Ready for the question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Director Sweeney. We move on now to ask the audit committee, Director Mallory, please.
Audit committee met April 2nd, 24. They met, the committees met on March 25th, 2024 in attendance were, myself as chair, Bill, Judy Wilson Shane, vice chair, Bill Queenwell, David Duplessis, Don Smith, Don Fitzgerald, Paul Gray, Mary Langton, Lonnie Forbes, Evan Shaw, Lawrence, and Ross Gray. And the meeting was called to order by the chair at 12 p.m. Darren Lawrence, partner with McMillan, Lawrence, and Lawrence, review the results of the audit and present draft financial statements. The audit resulted in a clean audit opinion, meaning they did not find any items that would result in the financial statements being materially misstated. All of various funders had surpluses for 2023. There were 2 major changes to the financial statements this year. The first being the impact of adopting of the PS 3280 asset retirement obligations, and the second being all the additional funding for the new mandated services. Mr. Lawrence also reviewed the management letters and the audit findings letter. Their correspondence note that they did not find any weakness in our system, have any disagreements with management, nor encountered any significant difficulties. An in-camera session was with the auditors was held, which did not include staff. The members inquired about having financial statements prior to the meeting to review. Given a significant amount of changes to the 2023 financial statements, they were not available until later than normal, but this suggestion can be incorporated for the next year. Dr. Cheryl reviewed the staff report recommending the appointment of the auditors for fiscal year of 2024. There is an increase in the price quote for 2024. McMillan Lawrence, given the additional funds associated with the new mandated services and the level of work requires as a result, the quote of 30,500 is still well below prices being paid out by other commissions. The committee endorsed this recommendation, and that report will be presented to you as item 10B later in the meetings. There being no further business, the meeting adjourned at 1:06 p.m. The decisions of administrative matters were required, a simple majority vote to pass. And the first motion is, I move that the board receive the report of the audit committee dated April 2nd, 2024. I'll second it, Glenn Paul.
Any discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Your next motion, please.
Second motion is, I move that the board receive and approve the December 31st, 23 financial statements of the Capital Region Service Commission.
Second by, any discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Director Valerie. Staff reports. Annual report. And then we'll need a motion afterwards. Staff member John Smith, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and it's with pleasure that I present this report in terms of the issues that the regional service commissions are required to produce annual reports for distribution to their member communities and Minister of Environment and Local Government. Section 20 of the Regional Service Delivery Act regulation details the type of information that must be included in such a report. The annual audited financial statements of the commission, the information with respect to the provision of services, including common services provided by or through the commission, including the services provided or through outside its region. Information with respect to activities carried out by the commission for the purpose of fulfilling its mandate. The names of the members of the commission or other persons for whom the commission provides a land use planning service. The number of board meetings held each year and the attendance at the meetings. Any performance measures established by the board and progress made with respect to those measures. An update on the implementation of the regional strategy of the commission and information with respect to any per diem allowances or other expenses provided to members of the board. The attached draft report has been prepared in accordance with those requirements. Upon approval of the annual report, staff will combine it with audited financial statements, and after translation, it will be distributed. It will distribute the report in accordance with the requirements under the legislation and post it to the website. There's a recommendation in this, but I believe I need a member to read that.
Yes, can someone read the motion to accept the report, please?
It is recommended that the board approve the attached draft annual report, which can be accomplished by passing the following motion. I move that the board adopt the attached draft annual report as the commission's annual report and that it be distributed as described in section 33 of the Regional Service Delivery Act.
Second by,
Dave Morrison, panel.
Any discussion? No discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. We move on now to, well, thank you, Staff Member Jones, auditor appointment, Don Fitzgerald, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As mentioned in, the audit committee report, annually, the directors, are required to appoint an auditor for our fiscal year, and our fiscal year, runs from January 1st to December 31st. We have, staff have recommended to the audit committee, and they have, agreed to forward to you, the recommendation that we, employ and appoint McMillan, Lawrence and Lawrence as our auditors for 2024. They have submitted a price for that work of $30,500. And in terms of context, you should be aware that that's an increase over 2023's rate of $25,250. Typically, their annual increases are not of that magnitude. This is driven by local government reform. It's driven by the fact that we now have 6 or 7 additional funds with grant money coming from a number of provincial departments. And it is our view and the committee's view that this is good value for work. And that was pleased to forward the recommendation.
Thank you. Would someone read the motion, please?
I'd be happy to, Greg Erickson, Betterton.
Thank you.
Be it resolved, the board appoint the firm of McMillan, Lawrence and Lawrence as auditors for the Regional Service Commission 11 for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2024.
I'll second.
Second by, okay, any discussion? I would just like to make a comment to our staff member, Mary Kay. I appreciate going to those meetings because if I ever ask questions, you always have the answer. Like, you know what you're doing and you're dealing with the numbers and your staff too. And I know, Lawrence, they have, said in the past that they really appreciate all the work that you people do. It's, they're, put it this way, there's no headaches when they come here. And, so we do on behalf of the board, thank you for all the hard work that you do and your team.
Here.
Thank you. No further discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, staff member Don Fitzgerald. And we need a motion to adjourn. Oh, everybody.
Second and half hour.
Thank you. Good meeting you. Yeah.
Thank you. It's telling you they bumped into you.
Thanks.
Robert.